All right, so let's chart this data. So this year, Mrs. Novak took 2 fish, Mr. Krongold took 2 fish, and Miss Derry took 3. So what we need to do now is we need to add these numbers up, and we took a total of 7 fish from the pond. Now our pond started with 16 fish, then we took 7. That gives us 9 fish left. Now remember, all the fish in our pond can reproduce. So what we have to do with the number 9 is multiply it by 2. So 9 times 2, that gives us 18 fish in our pond for the next year. However, we can't do that because the carrying capacity of our pond is only 16 fish. So even though we had enough fish left to reproduce to have 18, our pond cannot hold all of those. So we're going to go ahead and reset our pond with 16 fish. All right, so on to year 2. Ready? All right. All right, everybody's done? All right, so let's look at the data, what we have here. So the second year, Mrs. Novak took,
2 fish.
Mr. Krongold took,
Little greedy this year, I took 3 fish.
and how about Miss Derry?
I'm always greedy, so 3 fish.
All right, so this time what we're gonna do is we're gonna add these numbers up. So we took a total of 8 fish from the pond this year. So let's take a look. We started with 16 fish because that was our maximum. We took 8 out. That left us with 8 fish left. Now our 8 fish that are left, they can all reproduce. So 8 times 2 is 16 fish. That's pretty awesome because the number that we took out and then after the fish reproduced, our pond is still full. So let's go back and play another year.
Reproduce up to 16, so let's add 8 more.
Perfect pour, Mr. Krongold.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. Year 3. Go ahead. All right, our data looks exactly the same as last time, right? So we're gonna come up here. We're gonna chart our data again. Again, this year, Mrs. Novak took 2 fish. Mr. Krongold took 3. And Miss Derry also took 3. That means we have a total of 8 fish removed from the pond. Our math is gonna be exactly the same as it was over here. So at the end, the number of fish that survive is 8 and they reproduce, so we'll have 16 fish in our pond next year. Here we go back for another round. This method seems to be working. Seems to be very, long lasting. Seems to be good. Let's see. All right, year 3, here we go. All right, so let's record this data for this time. So this time, Mrs. Novak took
3 fish.
Mr. Krongold
Just 2.
and Miss Derry.
3 fish.
All right, so we add these numbers up. A little bit of a different order of the numbers, but they still add up to 8. So what we're finding is as we take out 8 fish, that's the number that if we take that number out, we still have our pond completely full with 16 fish for the beginning of the next year. Now this is the last year, so let's see what happens. All right, are we ready? All right, let's go. All right, so this year looked a little bit differently. It looks like we all took
4 fish.
We all took 4 fish, so let's see what that does to the data. All right, so if Novak took 4 and Krongold took 4 and Derry took 4, that means we took out of the pond, oops, a total of 12 fish, right? So if we had 16 at the start, and we took out 12 fish, that only leaves us with four fish, right? And if those 4 fish reproduce, the next year we'll only have 8 fish. If we were to continue this simulation on to the next year, and let's say Mrs. Novak, Krongold, and Miss Derry each only took the minimum for their family to survive, right? So Novak, Krongold, Derry, we each took the minimum to survive. That would mean we would take 6 out. And if we started with 8 and we took 6, that only leaves us with 2 left. And those 2 fish that are left are going to reproduce, and now our pond only has 4. So that means the next year we're in big trouble. Okay? So let's take a look at the data and answer the follow-up questions.